Good morning. Pat Zemer here with MagnaWave for this Tuesday edition of the MagnaWave Office Hours. We have office hours each week where we come to you to answer your questions live, to answer whatever questions you may have about MagnaWave, our devices, anything like that you might want to know more about. We're here to answer your questions. So if you have questions today, please just go into the Facebook chat box and put in your questions, and they'll come up, and Nick will show them to me, and I'll be happy to answer the questions at that point. There are a few questions that I've been asked that I will go over this morning, that I've been asked over the past week. As I said earlier, I am Pat Zemer, founder and CEO of MagnaWave. Been in the PEMF business since about 2002. With low-power machines, high-powered machines since 2006, 2007. So we've got quite a bevy of experience here at MagnaWave, and we want to, our main objective is to answer the questions and to make sure that you are adequately served when it comes time to purchase a machine or have treatments or get anything you want to do with PEMF and MagnaWave. We want to be fully transparent and answer any questions that you may have. So again, thanks for being with me this morning, and again, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat box and we'll be happy to answer them. There are a few questions that I've been asked over the last week, so I'll put those up and get right to it. The first question is, what is the difference between the FEI and the regular semi-equine bundle? And that's a very good question. The machine is the same. The semi devices with low, medium, and high power, which is exclusive to MagnaWave. There's other devices out there that look just like the semi, but they are only low power and high power. We have an exclusive arrangement that our semi is low, medium, and high, which is very beneficial in the treatment of horses, and for in a lot of cases when you're doing small animals and people, you like the medium setting instead of just low and high. So the semi has low, medium, and high. The difference in the bundles is we just wanted to be very clear. When we use the semi to meet the criteria set forth by the FEI that you cannot produce over 1,000 Gauss, when you're using these devices, the butterfly loop, the large loop, and the Wave equine wings do not produce more than 1,000 Gauss. They're right there at 1,000 Gauss, but they don't produce more than that, so they fit within that criteria. So we want somebody who buys that bundle to know that those are the three attachments that are acceptable or compliant with the FEI regulations. The paddle reaches much more than 1,000 Gauss, and so we don't want to confuse the issue that if you buy this, that you automatically get to take the paddle into an FEI or a controlled competitive environment where they're regulating the strength and the coolness or whatever various devices produce, whether it's hot and cold or PEMF or whatever it may be, laser, that whole type of thing. So we're totally within those regulations when it comes to the FEI situation. So the machines are the same. The attachments that work and fit the FEI criteria are the butterfly loop, the large loop, and the Wave wing. So that's why we did it that way. Can you buy the other attachments? For sure. We just want you to understand what is compliant with FEI, hence the FEI bundle, if that's how someone wants to use the device and not try to take something in that all of a sudden they say, no, you can't use. Great questions, folks. So if you have any other questions, just put them in the chat box, and we'll be happy to answer them. We'll be here for the next hour or as long as questions continue. If I don't have any other questions, then we'll say have a great day, and we'll move forward. So let's see. We do have another question. Good morning, Wendy. Would like some info on the difference between different machines. Example, the Life Pulse machine, the maintenance, the frequency of updating the software and hardware, etc. Well, that's a very good question when it comes to devices and what the differences are. MagnaWave has a full complement of digital devices and what we call analog or spark chamber devices. The difference is the digital devices are controlled by a computer chip, and they're very regulated from that situation, and the other devices, the spark chamber or the analog devices, actually generate a physical spark in order to create the energy that is released from the machine and put into the body. So that's the differences. Life Pulse, if you're asking in particular, also has spark chamber machines and digital machines. Their digital machines are in the $30,000 range. We have digital machines that begin in the $6,000, $7,000 range up to the $20,000 range. So we want to make sure that we have full complement of digital devices in all price ranges that are comfortable for people and can be utilized by folks as they desire to use the devices. Very good questions, and I think that is frequency. Well, let me come back to that for just a second. Maintenance, frequency, updating of software. Well, certainly if it's a digital device and there is a change in software or something that we find is better about a new addition of software, then all the digital devices can be upgraded to that software should the owners desire to have the update applied to their devices. Spark chamber devices are basically, as I was talking about, are analog, so there are no software upgrades to those devices. They are analog, meaning that the spark chamber can wear out, whereas on the digital devices, there's no reason that those devices would not run for years and years with no required maintenance or no predetermined maintenance. On the spark gap machines, the spark chambers can wear, and over a period of time, after a certain number of hours, and that depends on how powerful you're using the machine. If you take a spark chamber machine and run it on low and moderate settings, it can run several years, several thousand hours before it needs to be updated or before the spark chamber needs to be replaced. If you're treating abscesses or ankle and knee type of issues to where you turn the machines higher, then that spark chamber will wear out more rapidly. Maybe after 600-700 hours, it may need to be replaced, or it will be showing some difference in signal. Very good question, and that's the primary difference. Again, the digital machines, no active live spark chamber, so they can go a long time without necessarily scheduled maintenance. Let's see if we have another question here. Yes, let me bring Linda up here and take a look at the question. It's, is there a comprehensive list available of things which PEMF is FDA approved? That's a great question. I am putting together an infographic for that, Linda, that will basically list when the FDA devices have been approved for use. Basically, there are the TMS devices, transmagnetic stimulation. There is the Optune device for brain cancer and tumors of the brain. There is a device for non-union fractures, healing of non-union fractures in the body, certainly bone breaks, that type of thing. There is a device, the TMS device is also approved for depression and autism. There are other devices that have been approved by the FDA. What happens is quite often someone will take their device, they'll take it to be approved, and they'll change the description. They won't call it PEMF. They'll call it transmagnetic stimulation, and so they're not calling it PEMF, but it is PEMF. When you go start reading their information, you'll see what it is and how it can be used. But I am putting together a list that shows the dates that various devices have been approved in different modalities by the FDA. Very good question, and I certainly look forward to getting that answered in a printable piece or a PDF or the format that can be shared. Great question. Thank you. Let's see. Another question here. Let me pull this up. Do we need what the lifetime is of digital machine? You have a Maya. That's great, Wendy. The lifetime of a digital machine, again, the fact that it is digital, meaning the spark is generated by a computer action or a computer chip. The energy is produced. Now, so that means it can run for a long time, years conceivably, before there's ever any issue. However, those machines do have capacitors, they do have diodes, they do have other pieces of electronic equipment in them, although they're all basically solid state, except for the capacitor, basically solid state materials that if everything functions fine, they won't wear out. You know, a capacitor is basically a can filled with an oil that allows the charge to build until it's told to release. Can that become damaged from dropping? Can that become damaged from a power surge? Sure. But on normal use, capacitors will last. I think in my 12 years with high-powered devices, of the hundreds of devices that we've put into the marketplace, there have been only one or two instances where a capacitor itself has failed, whether it was from abuse or misuse by the owner of the device, or that the capacitor, for whatever reason, did fail. Just one or two times. So a capacitor can run for a long time. So to answer your question, the digital devices should run for, I can't say forever, but they should run for a long time without any issues at all. Again, a spark chamber device, the spark chamber can wear, meaning that you can't turn it down as easily as you would like it to, so you need to, because it's got two electrodes that come together and the spark fires between the two electrodes. Well, as the spark fires between them, they wear, so you can't get them to where this is when it's real low, this is when it's higher. But if they've eroded to the point that you can't get them close together, means you can't maybe achieve the low setting that you're looking for, meaning you might have to replace the spark chamber on an analog device. Does that hamper the use? No. I've got analog devices that have been in the field since 2006 and 2007, have never been back to the factory, with thousands of hours, depending on how the hours are put on there, high power or medium power. So hope that answers your question. If it's not clear, just ask again, and I'll certainly try to make it clear. Good morning. Wendy, let's see. Wendy's asked the question. I got that question up there. If you have any other questions, folks, just put them into the air chat box, and I'd be happy to answer them for you at this time. Let's see. I did have another question here. Okay, this is a question we get asked quite a bit. Can you tell me the difference between what your machines emit versus EMF, which we are now constantly told to try to avoid from cell phone use, etc.? Okay, and it gets to be a pretty confusing thing, because we are PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic fields, and EMF is electromagnetic frequencies or electromagnetic fields. And typically an EMF would be described, the easiest one for me is the high voltage wires that you'll see, the big towers, or even any high voltage wire running down the street that is continually having power go through that wire. There is a fall off of energy that falls off, and it's called EMF, or in many cases it's called electrosmog. And you don't want to be bombarded with too much electrosmog, because they say that it is not good for you. So that is what's coming off of the high voltage. If you take your phone and you hold it up to your head all day long, they say that is damaging, that it's putting off an electromagnetic frequency or signal continually. Now, here's the difference. If you take our device and you turn it on, there's a click, 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 or click, 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 click. However you have the setting set. Well, that clicking, when it's not clicking, it's off. So you're not receiving a constant signal. You're not receiving a constant bombardment of the electromagnetic frequencies that are coming off of your computer screen, off of your telephone, off of the wires around you, off of the lights in the walls. That's called electrosmog. They talk about there are meters that you can tell how much electrosmog is in your bedroom, so you can sleep better. If you have too many electronic devices in your room, they say it puts out things that can disrupt your sleep patterns, and so people work to get any of those devices or anything out of the rooms. Electric plugs in the wall, if you have something plugged in there, can produce smog into the room. With our devices, with an intermittent signal, what happens is, in order for you to get, and I'm going to give you both descriptions, because the first description is very difficult for people to wrap their head around. But if you would have to take our device, hold that coil up to you for 17 hours continually, to get, I'll just give you the real number, to get 1 second of the exposure that you receive from your cell phone, or your microwave, or your computer, or your television. televisions aren't doing much anymore, but still, there is smog that comes from all these different devices. So 17 hours to get 1 second of the smog that you receive from your telephone. So that's the difference. We are not producing, and actually what happens in between on our devices, after they fire, the machine shuts off. And then the machine comes back on and it fires again. We're not having continual power go through, that's on our digital machines, continual power go through the device. Good question, and that's something that people often talk about. So let's see, and I want to talk about cost, energy cost here in a second, if I can. Let's see. Good morning, Serena. So any other questions, folks, just put them up there, and I'd be happy to answer them. I was asked the question twice in the last week as to what is the deal with the electrical consumption of the devices. Someone said that this person was in their barn for 3 hours treating horses one day, and that their electric bill for the month was an additional $20. And so I did some calculations as to the cost of a kilowatt hour, how much power our devices are using. Our devices use the power of approximately 3 light bulbs. 3 65-watt light bulbs, or 200 watts. So if you have a 150-watt light bulb, that's what it consumes, the power of 150 to a 200-watt light bulb. That's why we talk about when people buy inverters for their cars, or they buy generators. They only need a generator that'll produce 300 to 400 watts of power in order to power this device. For several years in Wellington, when I'd be down there and have my golf cart, I'd plug it right into my 12-volt battery system and plug my machine into this little inverter and run the machine all day long off the batteries on my golf cart. And so, again, it doesn't take much power. In reality, if you ran a max machine in a barn for 3 hours solid, you'd use about 75 cents worth of power. And so they don't consume a lot of energy. People think because of the clicking and because of the electric voltage that they're consuming massive amounts of energy, and they're not. Again, it only takes the power of 3 65-watt light bulbs, or for conversation's sake, a 200-watt light bulb to power this device, which is why in barn situations they're not an issue. I've been in barns in the summertime where they're running a lot of fans, and you're plugging everything in, and it's the fans that are causing the problem, not the machines, in those types of situations. So very little power consumption and very low cost. So someone asked me the other day what it would cost to run a machine for 15 minutes, and it's about 25 cents, or less than that. Dime, when it's 75 cents to run a max for about 3 hours, if it ran continually for the 3 hours, which it doesn't, because you turn it off on and off between treatments, or it's not running. So power consumption are questions that do come up. Great questions, but I did want to kind of go there and have a look at that question with regard to power consumption. If you have any other questions, just put them in the chat box, and I'd be happy to take a look at them for you and answer any questions. Let's see if I do have another question here. No, that's what I had up. If you have any other questions, just put them in there. And again, I'd be happy to answer them. Got several folks with us today. We certainly appreciate that. There was another question that I wanted to talk about. Let me think of what it was. That's how it goes. I close my eyes and open back up and forget what I was what I was talking about. But great questions that people have often asked. We are asked a lot when it comes to I had it and then I lost it. That's okay. You know how that goes. Let's see. There's a question. Let's see. Let me pull this up here. Wendy has a question. Do the coils have a lifetime usage as well? Well, that's a good question, Wendy. And to answer the question, yes, the coils will not wear out. They can wear out. I mean, if they're left in 100-degree cars every day, they are molded rubber covering the wires, and that can crack and that can wear and the wire can break. But if they're cared for and properly taken care of, cleaned, and not, like I said, kept in conditions that can cause the materials to deteriorate, the coil can last forever. There's absolutely no reason that the coil will not wear out. And with a lot of devices, like some of the shockwave devices, they get so many fires, and then you have to reload and do all that kind of stuff. That's not a part of the situation. Can the plugs wear out? Yes. Can the wires be pulled out of the plugs? Yes. Can they get moved too much and a wire break? Yes. But again, with proper care, there's no reason that the coils won't last as long as the machine. The coils are the only thing of the machine that are not warranted. They are warranted for workmanship. So in other words, if you have a coil and then within 6 months wire breaks or something's wrong with it, the factory will replace it. But because of the way they're stored, because of the way they're used and manipulated and turned or handled, they're not normally a warranted thing. The number of coils, kind of like I was talking about machines a while ago, the number of coils that have absolutely failed over the last 10 years might be 5 to 10 coils that for whatever the purpose have just quit working. It does happen, but just very seldom is that a situation. Great question. Appreciate it. We do have a couple more here. Let me take a look. Emily has a question. If one client's home, we need to turn off the TV because the machine seems to cause it to cut out. I've never had that with any other home. What could cause that? The wiring in the home. I'm not saying it's bad wiring in the home, but these devices are designed to be non-radio frequency devices. In other words, they're designed not to interfere with radio or TV signals. Now, how somebody has their home wired, we are putting electrical frequencies into the air, if you will, on that clicking type of basis. And so if there's something, the proximity, the way something is wired, can that happen? Yes. Does it happen as a rule? No. Very few times have we ever experienced that. So that would be, it could be this type of TV they have, how they have it plugged in, what type of surge protector, if they have a surge protector, how the wiring is handled in the walls. That could be allowing something like that to happen. And again, I tell people for years, I traveled in a motorhome. When we first started our business, we had a machine in the motorhome, 2 computers, a television, all within 5 feet of this thing, and we'd run the machine a lot and never had any issues with anything like that. So as a rule, that is not an issue that would occur. Let's see. Okay, got that one. Let's see another question here. Let me pull this up. Remember Magna Con 2018 is coming up. Register now. Go to MagnaConPEMF.com to see what's going on with Magna Con. We're lining up our speakers and planning all the events. It's going to be a great time. Just to kind of go over what's going to happen at Magna Con. Wednesday night will be vendors area will be open. We'll have a bar if you want to have some cocktails or something to get to meet myself, our staff, the other practitioners that are there, visit with the vendors. Then Thursday will be speakers all day long along with the vendor area. It's open to the public. So if someone is interested in looking at PEMF, meeting people that have MagnaWave devices, they can do that on Thursday. Friday, and then Thursday night, if you come, you'll be going to Churchill Downs. The MagnaWave Classic Race will be run, and a lot of good food and good times had by all at Churchill Downs. Friday will be a time for practitioners, people who own machines, to have hands-on training, to talk to the doctors and to the trainers that will be with us about specific things that they want to talk about, specific presentations, and so that's what's going on Friday. Again, Wednesday night and Thursday, general public. Churchill Downs Thursday night. Friday will be for practitioners and machine owners to get really deep into what we're doing, and then to have our gala. This year it's the Derby Gala. That'll be Friday evening with Derby attire. We'll have a casino night and the whole thing. Great fun. So join us at MagnaCon. Check it out, MagnaConPEMF.com. Okay, let's see. Let me make sure I get them all. Here's the next one. Oh, Interesting question, Emily. All right, let me come down to the next one. I can't read them all. They're close. Shannon asked the question, is there any risk of damage using the machine at a construction site from a temporary power source? I'd have to say no, Shannon. I mean, if they're having a generator and you're using it on a construction site, you really wouldn't have any issues with damaging the machine. I think a precaution would be to use a surge protector, just in case there was a surge from a generator or what's going on the construction site. But as a rule, those sites operate very closely with local codes and how any electricity that's on the construction sites has to meet code, so there is not the risk of electrocution or anything like that. So I would think, as a rule, there would not be an issue for anything like that. But it's a very good question, Shannon. Thanks for asking. Let's see. And Emily says they just turn the TV off. Let's see. We have another question here from Tim. The MG Pro is a type of magnetic therapy. Any chance you can compare MagnaWave this morning? The MG Pro. Well, I'm familiar with all the different devices. I'm just trying to think which one's the MG Pro. Let me see if I can pull this up here. And I'd be happy to make a comparison to the device. Let me take a look here. Oh, wrong keyboard. Let me get my keyboard correct. I'm sorry, just one second. I think the MG Pro, that is a device. The MG Pro and the MG33 are, if I'm correct in what I'm saying, are the earlier devices that were made by Pulse Centers, I think. And they had several different generations of devices that they developed and used over the years, so that would be the MG33. They're all analog devices, much like our spark chamber devices. And I don't think that those devices are manufactured anymore. They've updated their product lines from what I understand. So, in terms of what the differences would be, the primary difference is the support you're going to receive from your devices. If a device is has easily to be serviced continually in manufacture, those are things that you want to think about when you're looking at various devices. How long someone's been manufacturing, how good is their service, and so forth. I'm not saying how any one service is. I'm just saying those are points that you need to consider when you're looking at various devices and taking a look at what suits your needs for your practice when it comes to these devices. Let's see. Okay, yep. So any other questions, folks, just let me know. I'd be happy to answer them. We've been here about 30 minutes. A lot of great questions this morning. Appreciate everybody being here and asking the questions. If you'd be so kind, share this. Perhaps your friends may have some questions that they'd like to ask. Let them know that you're viewing, being with us. If you have a topic that you'd like for us to cover in one of our webinars, send us an email or give us a call, and we'd be happy to take a look at that on our webinars. We have a webinar every Thursday, the MagnaWave Wellness webinar, where we take one topic and get deep into that topic, how PEMF affects it, how PEMF works with that topic, and how, for various situations, how PEMF has been used and in use in the health and wellness areas. So that's what we do on the Thursday webinars. This is for questions and answers that people have that maybe they would just want to know. And we want to be here to answer those questions, as you know, on Tuesdays. So if you have any other, just put them up there, please, and I'd be happy to approach them at this time. If you'd like to give me a call, if you want to discuss something, let me pull that up here. You can call. It's 502-599-9722. If there's a question that you want to ask live, you can do that as well. Or you can, as I said, put your question into the box on the, let's see. Okay, one other thing. Let me see. Let me go down here and see if there's additional questions. Nope. Okay. One thing I did want to go, we were asked the question, Aaron asked about it just to verify, is what type of wire is in our coils? in order to work? Well, it takes copper wire. Goes back to the time of Tesla, the electric motor, the whole thing. Copper wire wound is used in an electrical motor, and the more they wind, the stronger the motor, so on and so forth. And that's the same thing with our devices. That's why our Gauss changes from... We're back. We lost there for a second, but we're back. We lost our signal for just a second there, but it determined how the copper wires are spun into the coil that generates the magnetic field. Any place there's a circle, you have a signal. So if you have just a straight wire, you don't have a circle until you turn it, either wrap it around a wrist or a leg, or until you wrap it around a number of times and create a number of circles to create your magnetic field, which then penetrates into the body. But the answer to the question is what is it in the coils? Copper wire to help generate the signal. Great question. Any other questions, folks? Just put them up there. If you got a question that people have asked you and you just want to, and you think, gee, this would be good for somebody to know, put it in, and I'd be happy to answer it. Again, I don't want to belabor the issue, and if you got places to go, we want you to be free to do that, and I want to answer any questions that you may have. Again, don't forget Magna Con coming up in June, June 13, 14, and 15. A great time will be had at Magna Con. Also, don't forget the Thursday afternoon wellness webinars, the MagnaWave wellness webinars. Go to our YouTube channel. People often ask, where can I go learn more? My goodness, there's a lot of information on our YouTube channel. I don't know. I feel like I want to say hundreds of videos because we've been doing this a long time, but there's just a lot of videos. Oh, one more thing I do want to kind of take a look at here. Let me see where it is. Okay, here it is. Let me pull this up. The MagnaWave PEMF International Resources and Education. Looks like we have another question coming up, but let me explain the MagnaWave Resources and Education. This is a private group. You know, Facebook has changed their algorithm to how posts are received, which posts you receive, how often you get a post, that whole thing. So a lot of people go to our Facebook page and they want to get information or they want to learn. Well, this page, this MagnaWave PEMF International Resources and Education, go look it up on Facebook, is a group. And it's a group that you can go into and you can search. When you go to a page, a business page on Facebook, you get what we're posting. And we post promotions, we post information, we post testimonials. We do all that, but if you want to find something, you'd have to be page and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. You go to a group, on the other hand, on the left-hand side of the group, there's a little box that you can search this group. So you can go in there and put in arthritis. And any information that we have about arthritis will come up. So you can learn about arthritis and how PEMF is used by people that have had those types of issues that they're dealing with. We don't treat any specific conditions. We just simply provide energy to the body so the body can better heal itself. However, people have used this and received good results with various issues that they're experiencing. So you can go to this group, the MagnaWave PEMF International Resources and Education, and join the group and search for various things to learn and to learn about PEMF, and it's a great resource. So go do that. I believe we're having a contest that's going to be picked from people who join this group. Someone will receive a free ticket and free lodging at Magna Con. So run over there and join the group. We'd love to have you as a member of the group. Great resource for you to have. Now, with that said, people often ask the question, well, when I become a practitioner, if I buy a machine, where do I go to talk to people and to have my questions answered? Well, there we have a private group. We have the MagnaWave Certified Practitioners Group where people can go and say, I'm working with this type of individual or this type of client. What have you done? What have you seen? What have you experienced? And people can learn greatly from our private group, which is for practitioners. This is a place where anyone can go and just see and learn what's been going on with PEMF over the years. So I recommend it highly that you go join this particular group and learn more about MagnaWave. Okay, let me see. Here we go. Wendy's got a question. So when I use the butterfly coil, I feel the pulse most where the wires come together at the top. I don't feel it in the loop as much as at the top. Is this normal? Yes, that's because there's several things coming together at there's two loops there, and they come together at the top. And you can feel a little additional energy at the top. But if you take the two loops and put them, which I do every morning on my knee, put them over on both sides of your knee, and you turn the device up, you'll feel the energy that the device is putting off. One of the reasons that you don't feel it as much with the butterfly as you would with the large loop is because you're stimulating more tissue with the large loop. You're covering a larger area of tissue, much larger like this as opposed to an area like this. So the more tissue you stimulate, the more it can be felt, or the more you can stimulate the tissue. That's why when we use the large loop, let's say, for example, on a horse, you can move it over the hip of the horse and you see a lot of movement. You take that off and you put the butterfly on the area and you move across, you may not see any movement. Then all of a sudden you get to another area 2 inches over and you see a palpitation and you get the movement of what's going on. Sorry, my phone rang. And so it's the amount of tissue being energized at that time. You put the large butterfly loops on a horse, for example, on both hips. You can't turn it very high because we're stimulating a lot of tissue, and in order for it to be comfortable and do the job, you are massaging and you are putting the signal into the body. But that's the questioning and the reasoning behind that, Wendy. Great question, and I appreciate you asking. Let's see. So, yep, you're invited to join our MagnaWave group. Please do that to be able to search out information and learn more about MagnaWave all the time. So there's that phone, just keeps ringing. I just keep trying to turn it off so it doesn't do that. And got it. Okay, sorry for the interruptions. But that looks like I don't think we have any other questions at this point. I'll wait another 30 seconds or so to, again, give you a chance if something's come up or if you're just now joining us to have your questions answered. Again, we really appreciate being able to answer your questions, and again, our whole goal is to get you the answers that you want, and to be transparent. We're not afraid to take questions and answer questions as they are presented. It was interesting. One of my practitioners sent me an email this morning that they've been approached by another company for service, and that they do all these things, and to give them a call, and they call us out saying, us and Dr. Pollack and various people, that they provide better service or better pricing and so on and so forth, but there's not a name on the website. And they talk about their staff. You go and you click staff. I'm not calling, but I just want you to understand what you need to read and see what you're learning about. I recommend everybody to do their research. You click on a team and it doesn't show a team, then I don't know what that tells you, but I know what it tells me. And so when you receive these information or receive these inquiries, just do your homework and make sure that you're working with somebody that you want to work with, somebody that wants to work with you, and somebody that's going to be there to take care of you. I've been doing this since 2002. We've been in business since 2002, and we intend to stay here with our full staff of 15, 16 people plus on our immediate direct staff, over 400 practitioners around the country. So we're here for the long run and to help you be better served when it comes to MagnaWave and PEMF. So, with that said, it's been great being here with you this morning. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's always fun to do this, so I thank you very much, and I look forward to be back here next Tuesday for another office hours. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day. Bye.